You always need to have deal breakers when it comes to relationships. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I've spent several years working with victims and perpetrators of abuse. And one of the things that I have noticed is a lot of times when people have this strong desire to be loved, to be accepted, to be validated, they will move the goalposts in terms of what they allow in the relationship. So they may come into the relationships with the idea of having standards, with the idea of having boundaries, but because they like someone, they're going to give them a pass for the disrespect. You need to have, my recommendation is that you need to have deal breakers that are solid across the board. It doesn't matter how much you like a person. It doesn't matter what kind of superstar they are, but you need to have something within yourself just called standards. And you have to have the deal breakers, meaning that if someone does X, I will no longer date them. I will no longer be in a friendship with them. I will no longer continue to have a relationship with them because that is not, those actions are no longer aligned with me. Those actions are something I consider to be immoral. Those actions are something that I consider to be a betrayal. And I'm not going to, most importantly, I'm not going to compromise myself, my self-worth, or my values for someone that clearly isn't respecting me. So you need to have what's called a deal breaker, and be consistent, because whenever you allow someone to break your deal, whenever you allow someone who breaks your deal breaker to be around, the only person that you are betraying is yourself. And you can't afford to do that, because if you can't trust your own self, then who can you trust, right? And if you don't decide what you want in your future, if you're not standing firm on that, then you're essentially giving someone else the power to decide for you. And they could, ring you around the block and back and still not care. So always remain true to your deal breakers. And, those need to be non-negotiables. You don't need to tell anybody about them. They could just be the things that you know for yourself. Like, this is my deal breaker. Like, an example would be like a deal breaker: I don't date people who smoke, right? And so what would it look like if you then suddenly, because someone is cute, right, you suddenly start allowing yourself to be around someone who smokes, and you're coughing all the time, your sinuses are acting up and things like that, all because you think this person is cute and they're giving you some attention. But you're betraying yourself, knowing that at the end of the day, it's not something you don't like, but you're just kind of willing to put up with it for those few minutes of attention and some quality time. Maybe you're lonely, or maybe, whatever else is going on. But again, you're not really being honest with yourself about what really jives well with you, what meshes well with you. And there's no betrayal like self-betrayal. And the one thing that you will do, that many people do, that I've often counseled over the years, is they're going to look back and they're going to say, man, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I just let that go on. I feel so stupid. I feel this. I feel like, why would I hurt myself that way? Why would I allow that? And they sort of get into this sort of circling the drain of where they're blaming themselves, and they're upset and they're frustrated for, essentially blowing past the red flags, or allowing someone to stay despite the fact that they had these deal breakers and they didn't acknowledge them.